There's a moment in your life where the struggle stops feeling heavy and starts feeling like preparation. I think I've hit that moment, and today I want to tell you what changed. I'm John Wright, and welcome to Slàinte Mhath. With being a student of life, just like us all, there are certain age milestones the collective influence your path with. Things like settling down, having children, and buying houses, normally around age 30. These are massive milestones if you haven't had practice in these areas, especially for people who've lived with their parents their whole life or have had fewer responsibilities. There are takeaways on both sides of this coin. On one side, having fewer responsibilities gives you more fun, more connection with your inner child, and a more carefree mind. And then on the other hand, the people who take on responsibility early tend to be more financially stable and already have a decent career by this age. There's that biblical idea, plant your fields before you build your house. And for me, I fall massively into the first category. There are advantages in both, but if you were looking back purely from a financial or mature viewpoint, you'd obviously pick the second one if you could redo your life. But the truth is, you can't redo your life. You're on the path you've walked. All you can do is extract the lessons. And honestly, I'd argue there are way more lessons in the first option because you've done more, you've risked more, and you've made more mistakes. The good news is there is no age restriction on when you can turn your life around. It's all about preparation. And then it comes down to feeling ready. You can and will feel motivated in small bursts, but it takes a long time for that motivation to stick. Right now, I'm feeling ready. I'm really ready to shift into a whole new me, to strip away everything that isn't serving me, and to step up and becoming the version of myself I always saw in my head. I've been preparing for this moment for 14 years, living a very up and down life, feeling fleeting moments of happiness followed by deep lows, never finding the balance and never staying on the positive end for long. This has been hard for anyone close to me, especially my two long-term partners. Both relationships eventually hit breakdowns in both marriages. But now I feel ready to step up and hold my frequency at a higher state. These past 3 to 4 weeks have felt completely different. This shift feels permanent, as if I'll never fall back into depression or despair. It actually feels like stepping into alignment with the man I've always envisioned. And here's how I'm doing it. I've been constantly watching motivational speakers and people living their life that I've envisioned. And I've started aligning with what they teach, bringing their tips, their structures into my daily life. So what I found is only when you take the first step do you feel ready for the next step. It's as if the steps are programmed. You take one step, the next appears. It's like a yellow brick road leading you to the highest version of yourself. It's about identifying who you align with, watching what they do, and then trying their practices for yourself. Then noticing what it leads you to next. This is where the fire energy lies for me, starting with small manageable steps, bringing them into my routine, and then feeling what the next step is, and then I'm taking action on it. I think new routines and addictions follow the same rules. To go over an addiction, you need to go 90 days without it to break the cycle. And then to form a new habit, you also need to go 90 days to make it second nature. But it's something easy to keep up. And that's when you're getting rid of addictions, they say the best thing you can do is to replace it with something new that aligns with who you want to become. And for me, the first time I got off the booze, for 5 months, I replaced it with learning Spanish. I did it 2 hours every day on Duolingo, and I did that over a year. And one day I'll get back into it. To figure out what I wanted next, I did this exercise, and I'd love you guys to do it as well. So write down 25 things you want to achieve in the next 5 to 10 years. You're trying to get as much out of your brain and down to paper as possible. Now you're going to put it all in chronological order and then take the top 5 and then with the top 5, you're going to write 3 things that you can actually achieve that can actually push you towards those goals. Now, choose one of these, go with it for 90 days, and then it becomes a habit. And then in 90 days, rewrite the list, because once you start something, it often leads you into something you never expected. And each direction can have so many small steps, and you can add more than one habit if you've stripped away all the old ones. For me, I already knew the man I want to become, so my next step was to start becoming him. So over the next 90 days, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to step up. The best way to bring in multiple habits is to strip yourself back first. Remove all the old habits that weigh you down, shedding your layers and letting the cocoon fall off, so then you can transform. Over the past 14 years, I've removed all my addictions and given myself a blank slate. Now my cup isn't overflowing, it's saying, give me more. Every new habit I add, this one reinvigorates me. There's a guy I watched recently on Jay Shetty's podcast called Ed Millett, and he had something clever to say about being productive. So he splits his day into 3 mini days basically. So he does 6 to 12, 12 to 1800, and 1800 to midnight. Now obviously you want to adjust this around your sleep schedule. Like if you need 8 hours like myself, you can either get up at 7 and sleep at 11, or sleep at 10 and wake up at 6. So I'm leaning more towards the 10 to 6 one. But I'm also adjusting it my own way. And each mini day, I'm going to break it into 2 slots. So 3 hours for myself, so that'll be food, exercise, mental well-being, friends and family. Then I've got 3 hours for work. So it looks like 6 to 12, you get 3 hours work, 3 hours for yourself. Between 12 and 1800, again 3 hours work and 3 hours for yourself. And then between 1800 and 10 o'clock, then you've only got 2 hours. So that gives you a perfect balance. So you still get 8 hours of work done, but you also get 8 hours for yourself and 8 hours of sleep. So this helps maximise productivity while still giving enough time for life. Because I don't know about you, but for me, it always feels like the day slips away before I've even done everything I'd hoped to do. So we've identified what we want to get done, and we've identified when we can do it. Now it comes down to discipline. And this is where readiness comes in, because you need to truly want something, so your mind doesn't negotiate you out of it. And this all comes full circle. Discipline is only sustainable when you're aligned with what you're doing. You can only keep going when it's something you genuinely want, especially if you're not getting paid for it. So this leads to the next question. What would you do if you were your own boss? That's real retirement to me. Retiring from something you don't want to do and turning your time towards something that gives you purpose. Most people have the wool pulled over their eyes about retirement, as if life begins at 68 or 70. But if you retire and don't do anything that motivates you, you're just wasting away. Retirement to me is freeing yourself from what drains you and building something you love. If you identify with your passions, figure out the time of day to work on them. Develop discipline and follow people living your dream. And eventually you can become that person others look to for guidance. There's another guy I watched who said people don't teach because they think they're not experienced enough. He said the fact that you're actually doing it makes you an expert. Teach what you've done. And he's actually right. That's how you build confidence. So my current momentum. So this is the steps I've been taking. I've done 15-minute home workouts, forest walks, cold showers, healthy breakfast, improving my gut health, hydrogenated water tablets, learning filming, editing, identifying my speech habits, taking better care of my appearance. Every step opens the door. That is momentum. So the purpose of this channel is I want this channel to showcase my journey, my daily habits, the routines, the steps I take next, and what those steps lead on to. I want to start visiting men's retreats and other retreats aligned with my path. I want to meet like-minded people like you. From businesses, communities, festivals, gatherings. I actually hope to be traveling a lot more too. I definitely need some sunshine. I want to build skills from all of this so one day I can speak on stage, lead retreats and run my own businesses. I feel motivated and I feel this fire energy inside me that keeps pushing me forward every day. Especially now that I'm doing things that align with who I want to be. So maybe that's it. Unhappiness is actually doing things you don't want to do and building someone else's dreams instead of your own. That's where I've been stuck for so long, and that's why I'm coming out of it. I like the 1% rule. You don't need massive changes, just aim to be that 1% better each day. That's only small manageable steps that lead to the next step. And before you know it, you've started your journey. You've aligned with the person you want to become. You're not repeating the same patterns. You feel lighter, you feel capable, you feel ready. Ready to not just talk about your dreams, but to become them. And that's where true manifestation begins. So I'm going to leave it there, guys, and thank you. I hope to see you next time. Maybe subscribe, but ciao guys, Slàinte Mhath.